Good evening, it's William from WCP Models here. We'll just continue on for our build video instruction from the last one. Last one we saw us making this unit here, which is what holds a servo for our front steering and front suspension. But now we're going to assemble the rest of the chassis. So what we're going to start with is the motor and the motor mount. So we're just going to pull it through here. Now what I've already done, just to make things easier later on, is I've already soldered in the wires. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use these M3 bolts and we're going to screw them in. Now we don't want to make these so tight that the plastic breaks. It doesn't need to be that tight, but just nip them up. Right, and there we have the motor mount installed with the motor. So that's looking good like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the side box and we're using some M2.5 bolts on this one. And we're just going to locate this into these holes here in the chassis. So that goes through there like that. And we're going to screw these on. Probably what I might do is quickly go to another video on pause the video for a little bit while I'm screwing some of these in, because they can take quite a long time if we're doing it by hand like we are here. So that box is now on here. So now what we need to do is we need to get these in the right order so they assemble onto the chassis correctly. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, I need to get one of these pieces. These are for the cargo bed. So we do need to sort of locate the chassis through, and we need to bring that along. And we need to do the same for that. We need to do the same for the third one. So we've got that like that. And we also need to take this one, because this will be what the cab glues onto. So that's going to slide down there. And we'll now need to run this chassis rail along. So this can be quite tricky, and we need to be really careful not to flex it too much, because we don't want to break any of the parts as we're installing these. It's a bit of a tight fit. Let's just take this one off. Try it from the other end to see a bit more success. So yeah, okay, it's roughly in the right sort of place. We'll straighten that out as we go along as well. Right. Now that's probably the most tricky thing on our chassis to get right. What we really want to do is we want to make sure when we've got these cross braces in, the holes just need to line up into the chassis. So we're going to put that to one side for a second. So the next thing is we're going to put together the tow hitch. So we've got the tow bar and we've got these little brass bushes. So I'm going to push that in and push this in from the front. Now we take our tow hitch, which has already got an M2.5 bolt through it, and we're just going to thread this through. I'm going to take an M2.5 washer and a nylock. That is now our tow hitch, so you can see it like that. Okay, now this is going to go on the end of the chassis, so this is a tight fit. So just need to push it home. There we have that. Okay, now we need to take these pieces. Now there's a big hole and a little hole. The big hole is the one that goes at the front, so we'll be pushing that into there, and there's one for the other side as well. We'll be pushing one into there. So they just slot into the chassis. I'll just show you how that looks. That's just slotted in there. Okay, so the next thing is we want to get this motor in. So we're going to have to slide this piece forward and we'll get the motor. In fact, actually before we put the motor on, we're going to put the little brace on as well. So we're just going to feed this through. And we have that like that, so that'll fit in there like that. So, turn the chassis over. The motor installs like that. Slide this piece down. And then these basically all slide on together. What we want to do is just slide these all the way on, like that. Oh. There we are. So there we have that. Now we're going to put the bolts in the side. Right, what we'll do actually before we do that is we will get these M3s and we will feed them through the side of the chassis. Okay, we'll just tune out while I'm doing that. So, as you can see, we've got these in. Now what we're going to do is just take the M3 nut, just wind that on. Make sure that's nice and tight, and do the same on the other side. Okay, so we're going to continue with the build. So we're just going to take M2.5 and we're actually going to put them through the end here. And do the same the other side. again, we'll zoom out and we'll come back in a second. And what we'll do is we'll secure these. We've got a washer, and then we also have a 9-locker as well. So that's going to go in there. So we've done that. So we've got the M2.5 washer and 9-lock in the back of the chassis. So now what we want to do is take these M2s and we're going to put them through the chassis. Let's just make those long enough. Yeah. So they'll be running down, and there's obviously 6 of them. And the front one as well. So you can just see in there. And then what happens is we'll then put a washer and a 9-lock on the back, and then that bit is sorted. So we'll do that on both left and the right hand side. So you can see that I've got now these washers and 9-locks on the M2s that go through these cargo holders. And we're going to get the motor mount in place. So it's M2.5 again. That's the motor mount in place, and now we just need to get that in the right place. So that's ready for the next bit. So really we should paint this, but we're just going to put it in for this, just so you can see how it fits. This all slides on nicely. Indicates such as that. So that is now our chassis almost done. We just need to put some M2.5s in through the back for the rear leaf swing mount, so we'll do that next. So for the purposes of the video, we haven't got this painted, but we're just going to put this in the right sort of place. So I'm going to push this home, and now what we can do is we can look to get these front suspension mounts installed. So again, we're going to be using M2.5s. We're going to be putting in the bolt here and here on both sides. So if you just hang with me for a minute, I'll do that next. Now we can see that we've got the bolts in, but just before we go flush with this one, what we need to do is use the back piece of these. These actually allow for a nut to go on them as well. And we're actually going to solvent weld that on the back of there. Now I've already cleaned the back face because I've repainted it. We're going to get that solvent welded in this place as well. So just bear with me. So the last part for us now is just to get to this bit here. Now we're going to press the bearings into this in a wee while, but we can at least get it installed. So that goes in the middle of the chassis here. And we just need to make sure that we line up the holes. And again, we're going to put in some M2.5 hardware just to hold this in place. So that's the centre bearing support. That's for the main drive line that is going to come from the motor to the rear axle. Okay. And we're going to do this on this side as well, so we'll come back in a minute. So, just a quick look round. So this is now our Blitz chassis. Yeah, aluminium frame rails, 3D printed braces. It's actually a really strong, rigid chassis. The next bits we'll be doing is mounting the axles, or building the axles, front and rear, getting the suspension ready, and we can actually almost get this chassis ready to run. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. I know it's been a bit of a long video, but more videos coming soon, and hopefully that just shows you how I put the chassis together and make it a little bit easier for your assembly yourself. All right, thanks, take care, bye-bye.